So the process of data ingestion into Snowflake is broken down into different steps, as you can see on my screen. In this video, we're going to perform the first 3 steps. Okay, the first one is to create an IAM role in your AWS account so that Snowflake can access the data from your S3 bucket. Okay. Next up, you have to create an S3 bucket in AWS and upload the sample files into the bucket. You can fetch the sample files from the Google Drive link or from my GitHub repo for this course. And in the third step, we have to create an integration object for Snowflake and AWS authentication. So let's get started with the IAM role. Now I'm going to go back to my AWS account, and from the search bar just type IAM. Just click on it and you will land on a page that looks like this. Click on roles and click on create role. Select trusted entity. Click on AWS account and scroll down and make sure to click require external ID. Okay. Now temporarily, let's give it any random external ID. You can give it ABCDEF or just 5 zeros. And let's click on next. Now we have to give permissions to this role, right? So what are we doing? We are letting Snowflake read data from S3. So in this case, you have to type S3 and hit enter. I'm going to select Amazon S3 full access, but keep in mind in a production environment, this access is not recommended. You might probably only want to give a read-only access, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to select S3 full access and then click on next. Let's give the role a meaningful name. I'm going to call it Snowflake AWS role. And in the description, I'm going to say access for Snowflake to read from S3. All right, everything else looks good. Let's scroll down and click on create a role. So we have created the role for Snowflake to access AWS. Next step is type S3. Now I want you guys to create a bucket. I've already created mine. Give it a meaningful name. The name of my bucket is sit Snowflake data, and make sure you select the same region as the one you selected while creating the Snowflake account. Mine was EU Central 1, which is Frankfurt. For you guys, it might be different, but just make sure AWS and Snowflake are in the same region. All right. Once you do that, download the sample data from the Google Drive or the GitHub repo. And I want you guys to go to the root of the bucket, the root folder, and create a folder named ecommerce_dev. All right. Now inside of ecommerce_dev, I want you to create another folder called line item, which is a table for which we'll be ingesting the data. And inside of that, 3 folders. So if you download it, the sample data, it'll be in the same format. Just upload the exact same folders into this location. All right. Once this is done, we move on to creating the integration object. So you can pause the video and upload the necessary files into your S3 bucket. So I'm going to go back to my Snowflake account. And the first thing that I'm going to do is use role account admin. Okay. Now, why is this? Now, integration objects cannot be created using a role which is below account admin. Okay. Any development or engineering tasks must be performed using a non-account admin role, but an integration object directly belongs to the account. So you cannot be a sysadmin or use any custom role and create an integration object. And ideally, it's not even a best practice. Okay. So we create an integration object using the account admin role, and everything after that is done by switching the role from account admin to sysadmin or any other custom role. All right. That's the best practice. So let's go back to Snowflake. I've said use role account admin. Now I'm creating a integration object, storage integration object. And the syntax is pretty simple. It says create or replace storage integration. I'm going to give it a name. In this case, it's AWS SF_data, indicating Snowflake data. Type is external stage because storage location is external, which is S3, external to Snowflake. Storage provider is S3. Enabled is true. Storage AWS ARN. Okay, now for these two parameters, especially for the role ARN, you need to go back to the role that you created for Snowflake. Here it is, it's a Snowflake AWS role. Let's click on it and copy the ARN for this role. Okay, I'm just gonna hit this button and go back to my Snowflake, and I'm gonna paste it here. So this is my storage ARN role. Now, when it comes to storage allowed locations, I have allowed access to the entire bucket. Okay, you could do the same, or you could just let Snowflake or this integration object have access to a specific directory in your S3 bucket. For now, I'm gonna create an integration object that lets complete access to my S3 bucket. Okay, and let's hit enter. Once this is done, it should say integration object has been created successfully. Let's now type the next command, which is describe integration and the name of the integration object. So if I run this command, the two values that you need to fetch are row number 5 and row number 7. Okay, let's just copy the first one, storage AWS IAM user ARN. Make sure you don't select the other one. So I'm just going to copy it from here. I'm going to go back to my AWS account. Click on the role that we just created and scroll down and click on trust relationships. Okay. Once you do that, click on edit trust policy. Now the row number 5, which is the storage AWS IAM user ARN, needs to be added over here. So I'm just going to get rid of this and paste the value that I copied from my Snowflake account. Now when it comes to external ID, this needs to be the external ID of the integration object that we just created. So let's copy the string over here. Go back to IAM and paste it here. So now what we've done is created a role in AWS for Snowflake to access it, and we have edited the trust policy so that it actually lets Snowflake access the data in your S3 bucket, which is authenticating Snowflake to access data from S3. So that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, we'll be creating the staging objects. So I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching.